Listening to English stories is one of the most fun and effective ways to learn the language. You don't have to memorize every rule or list of vocabulary. Just let the story pull you in, and your brain will pick things up naturally. That's the power of storytelling. If you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and turn on the bell so you'll never miss a daily story. Let's begin today's strange and unforgettable journey. Noah was walking home after a long day. The sun was low, casting golden light over the buildings. He liked to take a longer route when the weather was nice. It helped him clear his head. That evening, he passed by an old neighborhood he rarely entered. The streets were narrow. The buildings were tall, their windows covered with dusty curtains. Everything felt a little frozen in time. As Noah turned a corner, he passed by a narrow alley he hadn't noticed before. It was between two stone buildings. The walls were covered in ivy, and there were old signs in faded paint. It looked like nobody had walked through it in years. But then he heard it, a voice, a soft, whisper-like sound. It said his name, not loud, not clear, but enough to make him stop in his tracks. He turned and looked down the alley. There was no one. Noah laughed nervously to himself and shook his head. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe it was the wind. But something about that voice, something about the way it knew his name, made his skin tingle. He took a few steps forward. The alley was cooler than the rest of the street. The light didn't reach far inside. The sound of the city faded behind him. It felt like stepping into another world. Halfway down, he saw something strange on the wall. It was a mirror, just a simple, rectangular mirror hanging between two windows. It had a wooden frame, carved with strange symbols. It didn't look like it belonged there. He looked at his reflection. At first, it was normal. His face, his backpack, the same messy hair. But then his reflection blinked, while he didn't. Noah froze. His heart pounded. He stepped back, but the reflection didn't follow. It just stared at him, then slowly lifted its hand and pointed to the end of the alley. Noah turned. At the far end, there was a door. It hadn't been there before. His legs moved before he made the decision. Step by step, as if pulled by something invisible, he walked toward the door. It was made of dark wood and had no handle, just a small metal plaque that read, "The answer lies inside." He pushed it. The door opened with a long creak. Inside was a small room with shelves on every wall, old books, jars filled with strange things, dusty bottles, and paper scrolls. In the center was a table with a single candle burning, and next to the candle was a photo. It was a photo of him, but it was from a place he'd never been. In the picture, he was standing in front of a lake, holding a notebook. He looked older, wiser, different. On the back of the photo, someone had written, "You'll understand when the time is right." Noah's mouth went dry. He didn't know what to feel. Fear? Curiosity? Maybe both. He sat down at the table and looked around. The room had no windows, no other door. He picked up one of the books. It had no title, only pages filled with notes in a handwriting that felt strangely familiar. As he flipped through the book, he found more drawings of that same lake, diagrams, a map, and something even stranger, a sketch of the same alley he had just walked through. He turned back to the first page. You must remember, even if they try to make you forget. Noah rubbed his temples. He didn't remember writing any of this, but something deep inside told him this was connected to him. He just didn't know how. He heard the voice again. This time it was behind him. He spun around. No one was there. The door was closed. He grabbed the photo and the book, slipped them into his backpack, and pushed the door open. But when he stepped out, the alley was gone. He was in a different street, wide, clean, and full of people. He turned around. No alley, just a wall. He looked around, trying to find something familiar, but everything felt off. Even the air smelled different. Noah walked to the nearest bus stop and sat down. He pulled out the book again. One of the pages now had something new, words that had not been there before. Good. You found the first piece. Follow the mirror again. It will show you the next place. Was the book changing as he moved? He didn't know, but he was sure now. This wasn't a dream. It was real. Somehow it was all real. He spent the next few days trying to find answers. He went back to where the alley had been. Nothing. He searched the city for old mirrors. Nothing strange happened until one night. He was walking past an antique store. The lights were off, but something made him stop. In the display window was another mirror, and this time, the reflection wasn't his own. It was the version of him from the photo, the one by the lake. The reflection reached into its coat and pulled out the same notebook. Then it nodded once and disappeared. Noah stood there in the dark, staring at his reflection, waiting. When he looked down at his own hands, the notebook inside his backpack was glowing faintly. He didn't sleep that night. The next day, another message appeared on a fresh page in the book. Your story has already begun. Trust the voice. Trust yourself. When the storm comes, return to the alley. Noah didn't know what storm they meant or when it would come, but he waited. Every day, he passed the same street, hoping the alley would return. Days turned to weeks. The mirror never reappeared, but the book stayed with him, silent, mysterious, until one evening, clouds rolled in fast. The sky turned dark. Wind howled through the streets. It was the kind of storm that made people run indoors and close their windows. Noah didn't run. He stood at the corner of that street and waited. And slowly, the alley reappeared. You just listened to an entire story in English. Without sitting in a classroom, without memorizing lists, you picked up natural patterns, new vocabulary, and useful expressions just by listening. This is the kind of learning that sticks. If this story got your attention, drop a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got a new story every day, and I really want to hear from you. What do you think was inside that alley? What would you do if a voice called your name from a place that didn't exist? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's explore the mystery together.